I was betrayed into a second mortgage for my wife's sister's wedding. Now they want our house for her divorce and call me the villain. I'm a 31-year-old guy from Texas, and I need to get something off my chest. My wife Lisa, 30, female, and I have been together for 7 years, married for 4. I thought I'd married someone who was on the same page as me about life and priorities. Turns out her family has a way of throwing everything off course. Let me start from the beginning. Lisa and I met in college when I was 25, finishing up my degree in IT, and she was 23, studying education. She was smart, beautiful, and seemed like the kind of person who had her head on straight. We clicked immediately and started dating a few months after meeting in a shared elective class. At first, everything seemed normal. Lisa came from a close-knit family. Her mom and dad lived about an hour away from campus, and she had a younger sister, Katie, 26 now, who was in her last year of high school. But it didn't take long to notice that Katie was the favorite. Her parents doted on her like she was royalty. If she wanted something, it magically happened. Missed a homework deadline? They'd call her teacher. Needed a new car? They got her a shiny new convertible for her 18th birthday while Lisa was still driving a hand-me-down Honda from her grandma. Lisa used to roll her eyes about it, telling me that Katie was the baby and that her parents had always been soft on her. I didn't think much of it at the time. Every family has their quirks, right? I figured it wasn't my business and shrugged it off. Fast forward a few years. Lisa and I got married in a small, low-key ceremony. We didn't see the point in blowing a ton of money on a wedding when we wanted to save for a house and our future. I thought this was something we both valued, building a life together, working hard and being smart with money. We were living a simple but happy life, or so I thought. Then Katie dropped the news. She was getting engaged to her boyfriend Josh. They'd been together for about a year, and Katie was already in full bridezilla mode from the moment she announced it. Every conversation with Lisa's family revolved around the wedding. Katie wanted a destination wedding in Cancun, complete with beachfront views, 5-star catering, and extravagant decorations. It was like a Pinterest wedding board come to life. The problem? Katie and Josh couldn't afford it. Her parents were also broke. Katie's mom had just retired, and her dad was juggling medical bills after an accident the year before. I could already see where this was going, but I tried to stay optimistic. Maybe they'd scale back their expectations, right? Nope. A few weeks later, Lisa sat me down and said her parents had suggested that we help out with Katie's wedding. I wasn't thrilled, but I heard her out. She told me Katie was stressed. The family wanted to make her dream wedding happen, and her parents didn't want her to feel like her financial situation was holding her back. I knew help out meant money, but I wasn't about to throw my hard-earned savings into this circus without boundaries. So I made one thing very clear. If I was going to contribute, there would be a legally binding agreement. Katie, her parents, and even Josh would need to sign it and agree to repay me every cent. Lisa hesitated at first, saying it was a little extreme, but I stood my ground. I told her that if we were talking about tens of thousands of dollars, I was not risking our future on a handshake deal. After some back and forth, Lisa agreed. I had a lawyer draft a contract, and after a lot of awkward conversations, Katie and her parents signed it. We agreed to contribute $40,000, which was supposed to be repaid in monthly installments, starting 6 months after the wedding. The agreement was rock solid. If they missed payments, there were penalties. It wasn't my first time dealing with money like this, and I wasn't about to let anyone take advantage of us. The wedding itself was as over the top as I expected. Katie spared no expense, fireworks on the beach, custom floral arrangements imported from God knows where, and some kind of choreographed dance routine with a live band. Lisa was glowing the entire time, saying how proud she was to see Katie so happy. Meanwhile, I kept my mouth shut and watched $40,000 get flushed down the drain. I'll admit the whole thing left a bad taste in my mouth. It wasn't just the expense, it was the entitlement. Katie's friends were bragging about how perfect everything was while her parents acted like they'd pulled off a miracle. And let's not even talk about Josh. The guy barely said 2 words to me the whole weekend, and I got the distinct impression he wasn't as invested in this marriage as Katie was. But hey, not my circus, not my monkeys. After the wedding, I started to feel more at ease. The agreement was signed, the wedding was over, and Katie was supposed to start repaying us in a few months. I figured we could get back to focusing on our own goals, saving for a bigger house, maybe starting a family. I thought I dodged a bullet by setting boundaries. But I underestimated how far this family would go to milk every resource they could. At the time, I was patting myself on the back for sticking to my guns with the repayment contract. Little did I know this was just the beginning of their entitlement and the chaos it would bring into my life. It started small. Katie and Josh came back from their honeymoon, acting like life was one big Instagram reel. They were posting every day, fancy brunches, trips, spa days, while I sat there thinking, how the hell are they paying for all this? We all knew Katie didn't have a job lined up after the wedding. At first I let it slide. They had 6 months before repayments were supposed to start, and I wasn't going to nitpick how they spent their time. But as the deadline approached, I started getting nervous. Katie still wasn't working, and Josh was in some vague startup job that never seemed to go anywhere. Every time I casually brought it up with Lisa, she'd brush it off. They'll figure it out. When the 6 months were up, I sent Katie and her parents a polite reminder email with the agreement attached. A week went by, nothing. 2 weeks, still nothing. Finally, Katie responded with some excuse about how she was actively looking for work and just needed a little more time. Okay, fine. I wasn't going to be a jerk about it. I gave her another month but reminded her that the contract had penalties for late payments. She promised she'd get things sorted and I let it go. But a month came and went, no payment. I brought it up with Lisa again, and this time she got defensive. Katie's going through a tough time, like I didn't already know. Maybe we can just give her a little more grace. Grace? I asked. She's out here brunching and posting bikini pics while I'm at work every day, trying to keep us afloat. I'm not asking for a kidney. I'm asking for the money we're owed. Lisa just gave me that tired look, but I was tired too. This wasn't pocket change. We were talking about $40,000. The excuses kept piling up. Katie was between jobs. Their parents were helping with other expenses. Josh was working on something big. It was always something. Meanwhile, every time I checked social media, there they were. Another vacation, another fancy dinner, another new outfit for Katie. I hit my breaking point at a family dinner. Lisa's parents had invited us over, and I decided I wasn't going to tiptoe around the issue anymore. After we finished eating, I brought up the repayment schedule as calmly as I could. Hey Katie, I said, it's been a few months since your first payment was due. Can we talk about getting that back on track? You'd have thought I'd insulted her entire existence. She immediately started tearing up, saying how stressed she was, how hard things had been since the wedding, and how pressured she felt. Lisa's mom jumped in, glaring at me like I'd kicked a puppy. Can't you see she's going through enough already? She doesn't need this added stress. And her dad piled on too. This is family. You don't nickel and dime family, especially when they're struggling. I couldn't believe it. I sat there looking at a table full of people who acted like I was the villain for expecting them to honor their own agreement. This isn't nickel and diming, I said. This is $40,000. That's not family help. That's a life-changing amount of money for most people. And I'm just asking you to stick to the terms you all agreed to. Katie cried harder. Lisa's mom patted her back, glaring at me again. You're being so cold about this. Katie just needs time. Time for what? I asked. She's been on 3 vacations in the last 6 months but can't manage one payment. That's when Lisa jumped in. This isn't helping anyone, babe. Maybe we can just give them a little more time to get on their feet. No, Lisa, I snapped. We've already given them time. If they needed more, they could have asked before the deadline, not just ghosted us. And what about us? When do we get to focus on our future instead of funding theirs? The room went dead silent. Everyone stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Lisa looked embarrassed, like I'd just ruined Thanksgiving. I stood my ground. I'm not trying to make life harder for anyone, I said. But this is about respect. We trusted you to repay us, and now it feels like you're taking advantage of us instead. The rest of the dinner was painfully awkward. Lisa barely said 2 words to me on the drive home. When we got back, she finally spoke up. Do you have to be so harsh? Harsh? I said, stunned. Lisa, this is $40,000. I don't think asking for a straight answer about repayment is harsh. What's harsh is your family acting like I'm the bad guy for expecting them to keep their word. She sighed and said something about how family dynamics are complicated, but I wasn't having it. No, Lisa, this isn't complicated. It's black and white. They agreed to pay us back, and now they're stalling. The conversation didn't go anywhere, and I went to bed frustrated. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't going to end well. I wasn't about to let Katie and her parents walk all over me, but it was clear they had no intention of holding up their end of the deal. The worst part? Lisa didn't seem to see the problem. She was so wrapped up in her family's drama that she couldn't, or wouldn't, acknowledge how unfair this was to me. I started keeping a mental clock. If they didn't start paying soon, I was going to take action. I didn't know what that would look like yet, but I wasn't going to sit around and let them bleed us dry. About 18 months after the big Cancun blowout, And Katie still hadn't paid me back. Lisa got a call from Katie one night. I could hear the sobbing from across the room. Turns out Josh had been caught cheating, not just a one-time thing. He'd been hooking up with someone from work for months. Katie found out when she saw texts pop up on his phone during dinner. Classic. Within days, it was over. Katie moved back in with her parents, and Josh ghosted the family entirely. Honestly, I wasn't shocked. I never thought Josh was all that great to begin with. But of course, nobody wanted to hear my opinion back then. At first, I thought the divorce was Katie's problem to deal with. After all, she was the one who'd insisted on a $40,000 wedding she couldn't afford. I figured she'd lick her wounds, maybe get a job for once, and move on. Boy, was I naive. A few weeks after the split, Lisa's parents invited us over for a family meeting. Let me just say, when you get invited to one of those, nothing good is coming. I should have made an excuse, but I was curious, and a small part of me hoped they'd finally address the unpaid wedding debt. Nope. The second I walked in, I could tell something was up. Lisa's mom was overly sweet, offering me coffee and snacks like I was a guest of honor. Katie was sitting on the couch wrapped in a blanket, dabbing at her eyes with tissues. Her dad was pacing like he was gearing up for a big speech. After a few minutes of awkward small talk, Lisa's mom finally got to the point. So, as you know, Katie's been going through a really difficult time, and we've been brainstorming ways to help her get back on her feet. My stomach sank. She kept going, listing grand ideas for Katie's fresh start: a new apartment, a reliable car, cash to cover her bills until she could stabilize. And guess who they thought should foot the bill? Yeah, me. I actually laughed out loud. You're kidding, right? I asked. You want us to pay for all of that when Katie still hasn't paid back the $40,000 we loaned for her wedding? You'd have thought I'd suggested kicking a puppy. Lisa's mom gave me a tight smile and said, "This is different. Katie's in a really vulnerable place right now. She needs her family's support." Support? You mean money? I already gave $40,000 of support, and I'm still waiting to see a dime of it back, so no, absolutely not. That's when Lisa jumped in. "We can afford to help," she said defensively. "Katie is going through so much, and it's not like we're struggling." I couldn't believe it. "If you think we can afford it, Lisa, then why don't you write her a check?" "Oh, wait. You don't have any money." That shut her up for a second. But then her mom chimed in about how family is supposed to be there for each other during hard times. Her dad gave me a whole speech about how he'd sacrificed everything for his daughters and thought I'd do the same. I stood my ground. I've already sacrificed plenty, and I'm done. Katie's a grown adult. She made choices, and now she can deal with the consequences. Katie, of course, started crying. I didn't ask for this. Like she wasn't the one who insisted on a destination wedding and a husband who couldn't stay faithful for 18 months. The whole thing turned into a circus. Lisa kept trying to mediate, telling me I was too harsh and that we should compromise. Her parents threw every guilt trip in the book at me, saying they'd do it for me if the roles were reversed. Yeah, right. By the time we left, I was furious. Lisa barely spoke to me on the drive home. When we got back, she finally broke the silence. "Why can't you just be more understanding?" Understanding? I almost laughed. "Lisa, I've been understanding. I've been patient. But enough is enough. Your family thinks I'm some kind of ATM, and I'm not playing that game anymore." We didn't get anywhere that night. Lisa went to bed angry, and I stayed up wondering how the hell I got myself into this mess. A week after the family meeting disaster, I thought the drama had cooled off. I'd made my stance clear. No more handouts for Katie. Simple, right? Wrong. Lisa came home one night with red, puffy eyes like she'd been crying. She dropped the bomb. "My parents think you're being unfair. They think we should sell the house and use the equity to help Katie get back on her feet." I swear I thought I misheard her. "Sell our house?" I repeated, just to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. She nodded. "Are you insane? Now your solution is to hand her even more money?" Absolutely not. But Lisa wasn't backing down. "Katie's our family," she said, like that was a trump card. "She's going through so much right now, and it's not like we can't make it work. We could rent or downsize for a while." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't just a bad idea. It was delusional. "Lisa, this isn't about making it work. This is about boundaries. Katie's problems aren't our responsibility. We already helped her once, and look where that got us. Selling the house isn't helping, it's enabling." "You're being selfish," she shot back. "She's my sister. If the roles were reversed, I'd expect her to help me." I laughed bitterly. "Would you?" Because I sure wouldn't. And even if you would, it doesn't matter. Katie's not my family, Lisa. And if you keep putting their needs above ours, I'm not sure you are either. Yeah, I said it. And no, I don't regret it. The next morning, Lisa was cold, but civil. A few days later, I came home from work to find her at the kitchen table with a stack of papers. House listings, smaller places, fixer-uppers, rentals. These are some options if we decide to sell, she said, like it was a totally normal conversation. Lisa, I already told you I'm not selling the house. Why are we still talking about this? Because this is important. Katie needs us. My parents think... I don't care what your parents think. This is our house, Lisa, not theirs, not Katie's, ours. And I'm not giving it up because your family can't get their act together. But they're my family, she said, voice trembling. They've always been there for me. Why can't you understand that? I leaned back, trying to keep my temper. Lisa, I get that they're your family, but you married me. We're supposed to be building a life together, not sacrificing everything we've worked for to clean up their messes. At some point you have to draw a line. She didn't have a response. She just stared at the papers, tears welling up. I don't know what to do, she finally said. I do, I replied. We focus on us, on our future. And if that means saying no to your family sometimes, then so be it. That's what boundaries are for. She didn't say much after that. She gathered the papers and went to bed early. I thought maybe she was starting to see my side. Nope. If I thought things couldn't get worse after the sell the house nonsense, I was wrong. Way wrong. Picture this. I'm at work, having a normal day, when I get a bank notification, a $7,000 withdrawal from our joint account. At first I thought it was a mistake. I called Lisa, no answer. I checked the details. The money had gone straight to Katie. When I got home, Lisa was on the couch scrolling her phone like everything was fine. What's this $7,000 transfer to Katie? I asked. She needed it, Lisa said casually. She needed it, I repeated, trying to stay calm. And you didn't think to talk to me first? Lisa put her phone down and gave me an annoyed look. I knew you'd say no. Of course I'd say no, because it's not her money, Lisa. It's our money. What the hell were you thinking? She rolled her eyes. It's not a big deal. She'll pay it back. Are you serious right now? You're overreacting, she said. It's just money. That was it. I was done. Just money? Lisa, this isn't about the money. It's about trust. You went behind my back and gave Katie $7,000 without even telling me. How am I supposed to trust you after this? She tried to turn it around. You're always so controlling about money. It's like you care more about your bank account than my family. That hit a nerve. You know what, Lisa? If protecting what's mine makes me controlling, so be it. I'm not going to let you or your family bleed me dry for Katie's mess. The argument went in circles. Nothing got resolved. Lisa refused to admit she was wrong, and I refused to back down. By the end of the night, I'd made up my mind. This wasn't going to happen again. The next morning, I went to the bank. I froze our joint account, opened a new one in my name only, and moved my direct deposit. I left enough in the joint account to cover regular bills, but that was it. The rest was mine. When Lisa found out, she lost it. You froze the account? Yeah, I did, I said. Because I can't trust you not to rate it for Katie. She called me controlling, said I was treating her like a child. This isn't a partnership, she yelled. You're acting like you're the boss of everything. You made this choice, Lisa, I replied. Not me. That's not a partnership, that's betrayal. She stormed off, muttering that I'd never understand what family means. But I do understand what family means. It's about love, support, and respect. Lisa's version of family? Guilt trips, entitlement, and sacrificing everything for people who don't give a damn about you. After freezing the account, I started looking into my legal options. I reached out to a lawyer, explained everything, and began documenting every transfer, every argument, every conversation. I separated my finances completely, new credit card, canceled the shared ones, changed all passwords. It felt drastic, but I didn't see another choice. Lisa was furious. She accused me of shutting her out, treating her like the enemy. This isn't how a marriage is supposed to work, she said. You're right, I told her. A marriage is supposed to be built on trust and respect. And right now we don't have either. The hardest part was realizing how far apart we drifted. The Lisa I married, the one who cared about building a future together, was gone. In her place was someone who prioritized her family's needs over ours every single time. We were at a crossroads. Either Lisa was going to wake up and put our marriage first, or we were done. Every conversation turned into an argument. It didn't matter what we were talking about, bills, dinner, the weather. It all came back to Katie and how I was ruining the family. It was exhausting. I knew something had to give. One night, after yet another fight, I sat down and really thought about what I wanted. Did I see a future with Lisa? Could I trust her again? Would I ever stop feeling like an ATM for her family? The answers were clear. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I called my lawyer, went over the details, and filed for divorce. When the papers were ready, I handed them to Lisa myself. As soon as she saw the envelope, her face fell. "What's this?" "Divorce papers," I said. "It's over, Lisa." She started crying, begging me to reconsider. "We can fix this. I'll talk to my parents. I'll set boundaries. Just don't do this." But it was too late. I'd heard the empty promises before. "I've given you so many chances, Lisa. You've made your choice, and now I'm making mine." The fallout was brutal. Katie and her parents turned on me instantly. Selfish, heartless, controlling. Katie even texted me, "You're ruining Lisa's life because you can't handle being part of a real family." Lisa packed her things and moved in with her parents. The house felt lighter without the constant guilt trips and passive-aggressive comments. I kept all the documentation about the wedding loan and unauthorized withdrawals. My lawyer said I was in a strong position. Lisa's family tried to guilt me into letting her keep the house. She deserves a stable place to live. My lawyer shut that down fast. The house was in my name, and they didn't have a leg to stand on. The divorce isn't finalized yet, but my lawyer is confident it'll go smoothly. I'm keeping the house, and I have everything I need to prove how much they tried to take advantage of me. I wish I'd seen the red flags earlier. Lisa's family was always too involved, but I brushed it off. I didn't realize how toxic it was until it was too late. So that's where I'm at. It's been a wild ride, but for the first time in a long time I feel in control of my life. If you've ever dealt with toxic in-laws, or a partner who couldn't set boundaries, I'd love to hear how you handled it. This has been one hell of a learning experience. Thanks for sticking with me. You guys have been a lifeline. Update. It's been a while. I wasn't going to update, but so many of you asked what happened and whether I got the $40,000 back, so here it is. The divorce was finalized a couple of months ago, and it went heavily in my favor. My lawyer was a beast. Every unauthorized withdrawal, the wedding loan, the attempted guilt trip to sell the house, everything was documented and used against them. Lisa's team tried to argue the wedding money was a gift, but we had that signed, ironclad agreement. They didn't stand a chance. Not only did I keep the house, I also got the $40,000 back. Actually, with interest, and because they dragged it out, Katie and her parents ended up owing me closer to $45,000. Watching Lisa's mom's face when that ruling came down was worth every sleepless night. At first they claimed they didn't have the money, but when the court started talking wage garnishment, they magically found it. Once the money hit my account, it felt like closure. I turned the guest room, the one Lisa always wanted to make into a Katie recovery suite, into a home gym. Every time I walk in there, I feel like I'm reclaiming my life back. Katie and her parents still try to paint me as the villain on social media, but I just ignore it. I've blocked them all. Lisa reached out once after the divorce to apologize. Not for what she did, but for how things ended up. Classic. I told her we could have worked it out if she'd chosen me, but she didn't. Then I blocked her too. The biggest lesson? Boundaries. If someone can't respect your boundaries, they don't respect you. It's that simple. So yeah, I guess this is my happy ending. It took more stress, heartbreak, and legal fees than I ever imagined, but it was worth it. I've got my house, my money, my peace of mind, and most importantly, my self-respect. If you're ever in a situation like mine, remember this. You don't owe anyone your peace, your money, or your future just because they're family. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. And trust me, it feels damn good on the other side. Thanks for sticking with me through all this. You guys have been a lifeline, and I can't tell you how much your advice and support meant. Here's to moving forward,